Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. And I don't know why I always do this, right? I'm sure it's day 54 or day 55. Let me just check because the digital daddy needs to understand which day it is. Day 55. Wow. I mean, look, uh, I know everything is made up anyway, and I make up this thing where I love things about numbers, right? So day 55 of Daddy in Dubai. And it gives me this is a good one, right? Because this gentleman up here, SonShine, is an example of you don't know who you're going to meet, when you're going to meet them, but there are some people that you meet for a season, some people you meet for a reason, and others you meet for a lifetime. And look, this gentleman here, we had the pleasure of meeting at a an event called Circle Network. Um, it's the only network meeting I've been of theirs, and it's been the most impactful. The relationships I've created, especially with this guy, Mr. Gautam Ganglani, um, has been meaningful, and I believe it's going to be long lasting. And it's just not a coincidence that it says that on his book. Look, building meaningful relationships for long lasting success. And look, Jaden, this whole series and channel is made every day. So one, I can share my journey. And number two, I can acknowledge the people that have added value to that journey. And in the last 55 days, I've got to say, this gentleman, Gotham, has definitely contributed immensely to my journey in the most amazing way. And we spoke about this once before about the game of snakes and ladders, right? And I said, some people are snakes, some people are ladders. And I said to Gotham earlier, I said, you're like an express lift or escalator that goes straight to the top, man. There's no waiting around. This guy's taking me straight there. Look, yes, the other day we met up. He introduced me to this guy, right? He's coming soon. The connections he's facilitated um, are priceless. And Gotham, I want to thank you, brother, for um, not just pursuing greatness, but for acknowledging me, assisting me, being whatever I need here in Dubai on this journey, man. Honestly, truly grateful.
Thank you so much, Dizzy. It's an absolute pleasure and privilege to be with you here in conversation. We just met barely in the last month, and you suddenly feel those connections, and that's the beauty. It's like you could meet someone for the first time, and you feel a connection, you feel comfortable, you feel instant rapport, and you're one
Yeah.
of those guys. Your energy is infectious. You're full of life. And I just, I say I love being surrounded by not only like-minded, but
Mm.
like-hearted people. To me, that's really key because the mind, we can be intellectual, we can be conversationalists around good quality conversations and subjects, but when it comes from the heart, that's authentic and that's
Mm.
genuine. And I could feel that instantly from the first time we met. And, we've communicated since then virtually. And obviously, we met. For the good old Karak chai and omelette paratha the other
Yeah.
day. And everyone there, it was four of us, but everyone knew someone else was coming, but they didn't know who. And that sort of creates that sort of curiosity and excitement that I'm going to meet some people I don't know, but Gotham is connecting us, and you just bring good quality people together, and it sparks different ideas. Whether you call it serendipity, manifestation, right place, right time.
Yeah.
Uh, it's where the magic happens, and I love it. I've got, for me, every time I think of any success personally or professionally, I actually take a moment and sit quietly. Where did I first meet that person? And if
Mm.
and to having met them over breakfast, lunch, dinner, or coffee or an event, I'm like, that's why, you just go with that sort of mindset of making the world a better place and enjoying the people you're with.
Yeah, look, there was definitely that instant connection. And look, one of the things that I've really embraced on this journey is really speaking from the heart, right? And you mentioned it earlier. And Jaden, it's always important to say what's in your heart, um, but say it with love. I'm guilty of uh, of getting a little bit passionate about things that I really believe in. And look, the reason this whole series exists is out of a not so nice experience, right? But what I want to also highlight that just because something bad happened or seemed bad, something great will be created from it. And my friend Johnny Wimbry, who's going to come on here, in his book, The Hood, From the Hood to Doing Good, he said every mess has a message, right? And the question is, what's the best thing that can come out of this? And look, um my greatest thing in every 24 hours is creating this, right? Because for me, Jaden, I'm creating whether I speak to you or not today, whether I speak to you not yesterday or the day after, the one thing I do know is this conversation's available for you for the rest of your life. I call it your digital daddy, right?
Love it.
Because
Love it.
long after my physical format's gone, right? And I said that I had this conversation with him. Don't know if you remember SonShine, but when the India aeroplane crashed, one of my really good friends and mentors was on that plane. And I think death is one of those things that pauses everything in life. You have an automatic shutdown, and it doesn't matter what's going on in your life, everything just slows down and stops, and you think, oh, sugar, I need to get a checkup from the neck up and find out how my heart's beating, right?
Yep.
And when my friend Ramesh passed, it was it was my first kind of mate, my first close boy that had left, right? And I felt the need to explain to my son that this is an inevitable future, right? Someone you love is going to die and everything's going to change. These are the two guaranteed things that are going to happen in your life. No matter
Yep.
where you live, how much money you got or not money you got, these are going to happen, right?
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
and pre knowing this is going to happen, how do you prepare for it? And look, I had this conversation with my dad the other night, and I said, "Are you prepared?" And I wasn't expecting him to be prepared. And the thing is, how many people are prepared for death, right? It's not your average conversation. But I said to my son, I said, look, you're fortunate enough that you've got a daddy who's not only done everything he's dreamt of. Many, many years ago, when I lived in Cape Town, there was a trend of people becoming life coaches. And I decided to become a death coach, right? And the reason for that was I got held at gunpoint when I went to buy some bread. And I came up with the philosophy that look, if you're going to a life coach, it's because you want to get your life in order. Well, death got my life in order way, way, way quicker than life did. And it was that moment that the gun was put to the back of my head that my whole life flashed in front of me. And I thought, what do I want to do with my life? And that's when that was my method. As in, listen, if you only had 6 months left to live, 6 weeks left to live, what would you do with your life? And if you're not doing what you would love to do, or at least attempting it outside of your normal job, why? How long, how do you know you've got more than 6 weeks? How do you know you've got more than 6 months left to live? So I said to Jaden, I said, look, the one of the things I'm going to share with you as we're driving to see my mother-in-law was you have to prepare for the worst and expect the best. I said that philosophy covers everything. Yeah. Whatever's
Yep.
going to happen in life, you can deal with it because dealing with life is it's a it's something that everybody has to do. There's going to be unexpected things that happen. Look, we're here in Dubai, and before I came, I wasn't expecting Dubai to be the way it is. The other day I took a taxi into downtown and there was no traffic, right? When I first arrived, you had to plan your trips, as in it's going to take me 2 hours to get to Marina, right?
Yeah.
And then you're going to have to plan your visits. Now, that's all changed, right? And people deal with change differently. Some people have said, right, I can't handle this, I'm gone. Me, myself, I'm excited, right? When everyone's running, I'm going to go the opposite way because for me, I want to make a difference in the world.
Yeah.
And this is my core purpose in life is to help people see their own potential in life. And I found this out at the age of 19. So I'm saying to Jaden, look, my job as your dad or as your daddy is to give you enough information so that you can go off and do whatever you feel. You can go and live your dreams. I said, that's my job. As your daddy, that's my job. And look, if the worst case scenario happened, and when I asked him, what's the worst case scenario today? He said, "Oh, my PlayStation, my whatever the game thing, if it stopped working." That was his worst case scenario. And I said, "Look, I get that who you are and your world right now is revolves all around games, and that's completely fine." I said, "But what if I made it a little bit worse for you?" And he goes, "Go on then." I said, "What if I died?" And he was like, "Wow, that's bad, Daddy. That's really bad." And I said, "Well, look, it. I'm not saying it's going to happen. It will happen at some point, right?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
don't know when, and we can't control that." I said, "But what you can control is how you live before you go, right?" And I said, and I've told you this before that I'm choosing to live in my dream. I've told him, a year ago, I was in a position where I was delivering food and cutting hair. And at that time, most people were like, how on earth are you going to do this big life that you're talking about? I said, I don't worry, I believe it in here and I believe it in here. I can see it. So that's the reason why this channel was created so that, and that's what I said to him. So Jaden, who are daddy's teachers? I said, most daddies, excluding yourself, don't write books, right? I said, so after I've gone, you can still read my book and my book will influence you.
Yeah.
My YouTube shows, my whatever else I've done will still influence you way before after I've gone. So I've already planned that. And I said to him, who are daddy's teachers? And he went, oh, Dr. Demartini and Sadhguru. I said, well, look, Dr. Demartini, I know him personally. He's a friend of mine. And if you approach him and say, do you know my daddy, Dizzy? He would say, yeah, sure. And the other morning, I'm not sure if you've seen it, but I emailed John to say, listen, I'm creating this channel for my son. Can you come on? And
Yeah.
he replied back and he delivered exactly what I had in my mind.
That's
Uh,
awesome. I saw that video. Yeah.
so look, Gotham, you know what? I put you in the same category, right? What is about to unfold for me and yourself and the world is nothing short of magnificent because that's what I expect. The fact that you said it says right selection, pursuing greatness. You know what? That meeting with the paratha and egg at Falcon, honestly, that was pursuing greatness in that moment there and then. So look, like I said, I want to acknowledge you, and if you've got anything you'd like to add, great. And if you don't, then please share something that you want Jaden to take. I mean, look, I'm going to get this book to him in the UK at some point, or get him out to Dubai. Whichever way, it'd be great to do that. But yeah, the floor's yours, Gotham. Tell me what you got.
Sure, sure, Dizzy. No, thanks for sharing parts of your journey. In our prior conversations, and I guess as you did just now, and it triggered some thoughts in my mind. First and foremost, I really want to acknowledge and appreciate this, heartfelt and wonderful initiative by you to create these videos with people who are impacting your life personally and professionally. and sort of as a contribution to your son Jaden, to me, it's the greatest gift that you as a father can create for him. And he may or may not know the value of it today, but this is a timeless gift that you're giving him. It's priceless. And whether he looks at it today, 5 years down the line, or even 50 years down the line, the knowledge that each of the people that you're having a conversation with is just going to be invaluable to him.
Mhm.
It actually triggered a thought in my friend, one of my friends, Dave Crane. You may not have met him yet, but he's been in Dubai for well over 25 years. He's been on the BBC. He's an author, speaker, coach, has a community of his own, and he also speaks for does I think it's the rugby sevens commentator. He's a hypnotist. He's a compare. The reason I'm bringing up his name, I was in a conversation with him about during COVID actually, and he said to me, it just came to my mind that I want to interview. He interviewed his dad, and every week interviewed his dad and said, I want you to share in video format. I think he got about a few videos, and his dad sadly then passed away about a year after he did that video series. And he goes, it was the best thing I did because I can watch those videos and still feel his knowledge, his wisdom whenever I need
Mhm.
to. It's there for the rest of my life. Here you're doing that in reverse and sharing that with your son. So it just triggered the value of some things we just take for granted.
Yeah.
Gave another example when you arrived in Dubai, which is not long ago, 50 plus days ago, and where you are today, the world has suddenly changed, be it globally, but immediately in Dubai. And you're like, I came here, there was crazy traffic, and today there's not. It's not something you or I could predict. And that's the same with life and death. We don't know where you and I are tomorrow, but we have today. And the idea is live in the present moment. Talking of gratitude is that I would say through every calamity of my life, and to somewhat you shared it to me when I look back at the financial crisis, 2008, 9, um, COVID, and now again, we're all by default forced to slow down. I have
Mhm.
been in a deep reflective mode. I'm already a person who operates in gratitude, but here I'm doing a daily gratitude journal every single day because I'm like, that keeps me grounded, it keeps me authentic, and it fills my heart emotionally. Because to me, I look at the current situation. Dubai and the leadership has kept us really safe and at peace. The first week we don't know what's going on. We're now 35 days into it, and we at least know that we can feel as safe as possible because the country is
Yeah.
taking care of us. So to me, I
100%.
look at this as a psychological and an economical challenge. And so it goes back to what my dad always says, or rather, I learned from Jack Canfield. He wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul, but one of his books, Success Principle, was E plus R equals O. E stands for event, R stands for response, and O stands for opportunity. You, Jaden, are going to be surrounded by lots of things in your life: events, birthdays, anniversaries, death, celebration, success, failure. Those are events. Every day is an event. Every conversation's an event. Every meeting's an event. Every meal's an event. Now, how do you respond to that event in your life would determine your outcome. In this current time, you mentioned it. There are people today. This is an event going on in the region, going on globally, geopolitically, and some people have chosen to leave until they have more clarity. And
Yeah.
some of us have decided to stay. That's our response. So we're responding to our loyalty, faith, trust,
Yeah.
and doing what's possible in this beautiful country, beautiful city and country, Dubai and the UAE. So our outcome is going to be that way. So for
Mhm.
me, I'm making sure I'm exercising, making sure I'm eating right, making sure I'm sleeping well, and doing all of that. So I'm psychologically in a good, surrounding myself with good quality people like yourself. And by default, every day I'm super excited about
Mhm.
how can I make a difference today? Whose life can impact? How many smiles and laughters can I bring? And that's the day. my dad always said, he said the most important bank account in your life is your emotional bank account. It's not the money. Money will come and go in your life,
Mm,
but the people in your life, the friends that you build in school. Imagine your son, Jaden, you're 10. I was born and brought up in London, UK, lived there 20 years. And till today, my 5 to 10 closest friends are in touch with me. And we may not meet, but when we meet as a reunion in the UK, it's like you just pick up from where you left off.
mm,
And so to me, everything in life is all about people. And I went through a difficult childhood in the UK from the age of 13 to 16. I was bullied, I was teased, I was humiliated, made fun of. And I went to my dad at that time and I said, nothing makes sense. I feel lost. I feel confused. Um, and I'm really, really feel alone. And he said to me, I'm going to give you 3 pieces of advice, and this is going to be great, invaluable advice for the rest of your life. Are you ready for it? I said, yeah, I'm ready for anything to get out of this feeling. He said, okay, firstly, I want you to understand and you reflect on this change and challenges are going to be consistent. Whether you're a student, whether you're a father, mother, husband, wife, brother, sister, entrepreneur, whether you're a millionaire, billionaire, or a regular professional, change and challenges are going to be consistent for the rest of your life. We're going through it now. We got a change that we didn't expect
yep,
and a challenge we didn't plan for.
yep.
Um, what are we going to do about it? And my dad said 3 pieces of advice. Number one, surround yourself with the right people. People who uplift you, encourage you, inspire you, help you be the best version of yourself. Secondly, continuously learn. Learning is a lifetime journey. It doesn't stop in school. It's lifetime. Today, I say people say, it's been in business 30 years. I said, no, I'm a startup with 30 years experience. They're like, why do you say that? I said, because startup means I'm hungry to learn. I'm open to
Mm,
learn. I'm open to adapting. If I talk of 30 years experience, I'm thinking I'm complacent.
yeah.
So surround yourself with the right people, continuously learn, and above all, take action. I don't want to be a person who consumes books, consumes podcasts, consumes knowledge, and does nothing about it. So the
Yeah.
same thing when I talk of you, Jade, in school. Today, you're 10 years old. Who are your friends you're surrounding yourself with? Do you smile? Do you laugh? Do you feel good with the people you're around? Because that frame of mind will help you in your education. And your
Mm,
education will be your foundation for your future. And the results will come from that. So whether it's your education and your future, surround yourself with the right people, continue to learn and take action. And live in an abundance of gratitude. Be grateful for each day because we really don't know what's tomorrow.
mm.
These are a few thoughts that come to my mind at this stage, but happy to share that with you, Dizzy, and obviously Jade. Jaden, I hope you take some knowledge, and if there's anything else I can share in our conversation, Dizzy.
Well, look,
um,
the other thing I wanted you to, and it came up as you mentioned it, is I'm really inspired by your relationship with your father, right? I know the first time I met you and I found this out, it made a great impact on me because I had a little bit of turmoil with my father at the time. And look, my dad is a living legend. I've acknowledged him on this series already, but we've been at loggerheads for most of my lives, right? And I don't know if it's because we're similar or not, but I want you to just explain the I find it really inspiring when you talk about you and your dad and how what was it at 75 he wrote a book with 75 things, is that right?
yeah, I mean, he's written 5 books, my dad. That's what inspired me to say, let me at least write one. So I have a father and son author. Everyone said writing the second book. I said, no, I'm updating my first book. I'm adding 3 chapters, but just the fact that I could write my own book, and my dad's written 5. But yeah, I mean, his most popular one is the Magical Book of Affirmations, which is with Jack Canfield, and it's you open affirmations and it speaks to you, and but the one you just referred to, yeah, on his 75th birthday 3 years ago, he said he's always been passionate about poetry. And so he put to get together 75 greatest lessons of his life in 75 poems. And so he has 75 poems. So it's a poem, an affirmation, and an executive summary. So 75 two-page excerpts of his greatest learning lessons.
Wow.
One of my favorite ones, and I look at that in times of today, is this the power of this too shall pass. He says, you know, you'll have times in your life when you're really successful, whether it's financially, in relationship, you'll feel like you're invincible. But what you must realize that, you know, this too shall pass. And what he means by that to me in that context is stay humble, stay grounded, stay authentic, stay yourself. Do not let success get to your head because it's not permanent. So it's a place of staying grounded. And at the same time, I have, and as anyone would have gone through difficult times, don't let that trap you into a vicious cycle of the world is ending and anxiety and stress.
Yeah.
This too shall pass. So whether in great times, and that's one of the poems which he then translates. And I think it's so powerful reading that in times like today.
So how does it feel growing up with a dad like that, man? Because I mean, look, my dad's a legend. And I think the fact that the reason I'm a great speaker and a great storyteller is because I've watched him grow up. He's the leader of a community, and I remember growing up thinking, "Wow, I never thought I'd be like my dad." But my dad is a servant leader in Preston, which is the North End. This is the top I'm wearing because I think they're playing today. I'm going to support them. But he's a servant leader in Preston who's became the first Indian to become a magistrate. He's got an MBE off the Queen. He's got more letters after his name than in his name, and he was part of a group of people that created a Hindu temple in Preston 50 years ago. They
Wow.
created a community, and he's been a leader of that community for 50 years. And he's the kind of leader that when they have an event, he's the one sweeping up, right? He's not so high up that he won't get down to the nitty gritty and get it done. So yeah, look, my father's a remarkable guy, but I look up to your relationship with your father because mine is to, as we speak today, it's pretty rocky, right? And I'm happy to be coached on that today live on the call. If you can give me some words of wisdom, because what you said to me last time worked the trick, man. And look, as a father, I've got my son watching this, and to say to my son, listen, your daddy is not perfect. I still do the things that I do, and I may or may not upset people. And I know it's true. I have a harsh mouth or tongue, should I say, and I can say some intentional things. So please, Gotham, a little bit of guidance there, mate.
Sure. I very rarely am asked that much about my dad, but I gotta say, and everyone in my family and my friend circle and even my client just know my dad is everything to me. Um, and my best friend, my coach, my spiritual guide, my brother, my father, mentor. Um, Literally, he is literally everything. I mean, just speaking about it, I feel emotional because I am who I am because of my dad. I mean, as long as I do everything possible to make him proud, that's the best gift I can give him.
Mm,
And um, you know, in my times, and I've had at least 3 or 4 occasions in my life, I've not been in the greatest spaces, and I could speak to him with complete vulnerability, authentically, with no filter, and he's been a pillar of strength for me. I will be forever grateful to him in every aspect of my life. And, you know, I have some really close friends, close family members, but if there's one person that I know I can count on day or night, it would be my dad. Um, as I call him Papa. I mean, he's everything to me. We grew up surrounded by affirmation cards in different places. He always taught us about being good human beings, kind, generous, um, helpful, and really instilled these in us as kids. And you know, in every aspect, even with difficult people, he has just an art of even reframing everything. He will say, as you sort of touched upon it earlier, is like even in the difficulty, He's like, yeah, what can you learn from this? What can you learn from this experience? What can you learn from this person? He'll say, from a difficult person who's got anger, you can learn patience. From a person who's, you know, taking you for a ride in business, you learn something else. So even with negative people, toxic people, he said that's your learning lesson. You're getting to
Mm.
chance to learn that. Or we say you're clearing your karmic debts. So I look at him like a Zen master in many ways. He's so
He
calm.
sounds like it, man,
And I
honestly.
mean, I think it's because I do would say, I mean, he's a 78. I don't think he's missed a day of like yoga. He does yoga an hour a day and he meditates minimum an hour a day. And he says, I have to start my day taking care of me, Ram Ganglani, because I can, as a father, as a husband, as a son, as a friend, as a family member, I can only give others what I have inside me. So I have to be the best version of myself first. So the most important person in your life, Dizzy, is Dizzy. Is
Mm.
because Dizzy can only be the best version of Dizzy if he takes care of himself, eats right, meditate, yoga, whatever it takes to make you feel great. So his mornings are non-negotiable. He gets up at 5 o'clock. He starts with meditation, yoga, has a weekly massage, reads every day. So he says 2, 3 hours for me. My emotional bank account is 10 on 10. Whatever the world has in store for me,
Mm.
I'm ready to be the best version of myself. If it's a good situation, I will zone in on that. If it's a difficult situation, I'll be able to respond to it. And that's one of my greatest lessons of life. I mean, in good times, people could read me like a book and like, Gotham, what's happening? It looks really exciting. At the same time, I don't get angry. I don't use bad language. Maybe that's my prim and proper British side of me. But I go into silent mode. And if I'm silent, people are like, Gotham, what's wrong? Like, but my dad, you will not know if it's a good day or a bad day. It's just every day is a good day. Every day is a gift. We're
Right.
living, there's a present moment. It's a present. So, yeah, all in all, my dad plays multiple roles. And literally, it's like he's got different hats. So it's like, without even saying, he'll know, okay, I'm wearing the father's hat. Okay, I'm wearing the business hat for my dad. Oh my God, he
Mm.
needs a spiritual hat now. He needs this hat. And it's just invisible hats must be changing because that each conversation, he's wearing
Mm.
a different hat based on the hat that I need to serve me in that time of, whatever conversation we're having. So to me, I'm really grateful to my dad, and I think it's a really special bond. And I really pray that everyone could have a father like, who is their pillar of strength.
Mm.
And, he passes all his lessons of life on to me.
Yeah.
And I know that's the best gift, that I have.
Listen, Gotham, I really value your time, man. And I really value what you've said because the father and son conversation was something that I wanted to have with you because it's what you have that's unique to anybody else I've met. And the fact that this is a channel from a father to his son and you relaying what you said, I think is beautiful. And look, just one small thing, right? You talk about breaking bread, and I know growing up, I've learned that the greatest gift you can give any human being is food, right? Money, all of those things, like you said, they come and go. They're man-made things, right?
Yeah.
But the only thing a human being needs in life is food. I mean, I believe it's the greatest gift you can give anybody. And whenever somebody invites me for dinner, I class it as a message from God saying, "Bless you, son. Have something to eat." And it happens on a very regular basis. So I appreciate your message of coming for omelette and karak chai. I was an instant yes, right? Whenever people invite me for dinner, I always say yes straight away. And sometimes those people that say it and they don't mean it, they get a surprise because I'm going to turn up at your house, mate. Yeah. You
Yeah.
better cook some food, man. But look, I want to stress this to Jaidhan, how important it can be to eat with people. I met a speaker a few weeks ago and he recommended a book called Never Eat Alone. Have you
Keith
heard of it?
Farazi. Yeah, very dear friend of mine.
Yeah.
Keith Ferrazzi, he's written the book Never Eat Alone.
Oh, he's your friend, is he?
Yeah, he's in Marshall Goldsmith's circle as well.
Oh, wow.
He
But
was
yeah.
meant to be the forward of my book because it's so aligned.
Ah,
And
right. Of course, yeah. Marshall Goldsmith. Yeah, yeah. The forward.
yeah, yeah.
So,
So
God,
Marshall,
just give us a quick reason why eating together and not having a device or watching something while you eat. Because I've always said to Jaden, I said, listen, can we sit and have dinner, sit and eat, and not you don't watch anything. We sit and have a conversation because I know there's value to that. But I know your book is based, it's called Breaking Bread because you want to break bread and eat together. And
yeah.
what can you do if you eat together?
Yeah, no, I mean, it triggers multiple stories. I'll share them in brief, and hopefully each one of them creates a message for you and for Jaden. So, firstly, yeah, I mean, to me, in the foundation of my book, and something I grew up with, is that families that eat together stay together. So, we had a ritual in the UK 20 years. Every Sunday lunch, non-negotiable, was family lunch. Whether it was at home, whether it was out, whether it was with extended family, Sunday lunch was family lunch. And I'm busy in the week in school. My dad was busy at work. Mum's busy with her routine, and we'd have meals on and off together. But that Sunday lunch was a non-negotiable family lunch. We bonded, we laughed, we talked, we shared things of the week. We're most relaxed on a Sunday. Obviously, when I moved to Dubai, that was a Friday, but now Dubai has also moved back to a Sunday because we have the regular weekends. And so, and in that same concept, that's where I say the family bonds together. We're all different. Every family has different dynamics. We have different personalities. We have different stories of our past.
Mm.
But a meal is an energy exchange between two people, between a family, between friends. So that's where the foundation of. I extended that even to my team. So I had a team of, before the COVID, I had a team of like 10 people, 8 to 10 people, and most of them were from different nationalities. So on the last working day of every working week, I'd invite everyone to bring food from their home: Gujarati, Sindhi, Punjabi, Filipino, British. Um, yeah, those are the ones I remember. But yeah, like 6 to 8 different cuisines. Everyone would bring their food in, and you could eat any food except the one you brought.
Oh, wow.
And so this was a ritual at our office for like 10 years. Till today, those team members say, we felt like extended family. It was a professional experience as a business, but it was
Mm.
that connection over food. And the fact that I got to try different cuisines from different ethnicities was next level. But we bonded and our team was rock solid. That was one experience. And the last one I want to share with you is really the family lunch here used to be a lunch, and then we have technology. Everyone's got their mobile phones on, this, that, and we're distracted. But my wife's mother said, this lunch could be 90 minutes. I'm happy to make it 30 minutes if you want, but mobile phones are not permitted on the table. And so we drop our mobile phones before sitting at the dining table. Our lunch is about 45 minutes, but it's with zero technology. And in this world we live in now with tech and AI, yes, it's important, but it can also be our biggest strength, but it can be our biggest weakness if we let it dictate and lose out. So that family meal eating together without technology is priceless because it's all about human connection.
Thank you very much, Gotham. You know what? I think whoever's watching this, apart from Jaden, is going to get a massive, massive amount of value from this. Um, and I'm really grateful that you took the time out and did it today. I mean, had we have done it everything the way it's unfolded, the fact that we got to break bread with an omelette
Yeah.
um, was beautiful. And then we got to do this today in the manner that it happened is completely perfect. So if you're watching this and you're not my son, click on like, click on subscribe, get the notifications, all of that stuff. I've got a feeling that I might even have a sponsor for my show now um, to add some because look, I'll tell you actually, I'll tell you offline what happened. But just from that John D. Martini interview, somebody responded. And then when I went to see them, they were like, wow, mate, listen, what are you doing with yourself? you need to be with us. And I was like, what are you talking about? I just came for a coffee, man. But we'll talk about it later. But listen, Gotham, I know you, if you want to know more about this amazing gentleman and his story and breaking bread, I will put all the links in the YouTube description so you can click on the information down there. And I know Gotham's going to send me everything I need to put on the description so that you can get access to him. And if you want any further stuff. So if you are not breaking bread with anybody, go and break some bread before you're dead.
Absolutely, Dizzy. It's been an absolute pleasure and privilege. Thank you so much for this conversation and wishing you, your son, and your extended family all the very best of wishes and blessings always. Thank you so
Thank you very
much.
much. Jaden, you heard the word, son. The sun is shining whilst my sun is shining. Let's go.
All right. Cheers,
Episode
Jaden. All the
day
best.
55. Let's go.